Welcome back to my channel. I am your favorite mother of three bougie bitches, and I heard through the grapevine that you wanted a makeup tutorial, so here I am to deliver. I am going to do the cut crease I had on the other day, and then I'm gonna go into my kitchen and give you guys kitchen content. I know that's right. So let's get into this video. Ooh girl. Ooh girl. It's gonna be a chill vibe today. You know, we're not gonna do too much. Oh, you know what? And you know, while we're here, because I'm not doing B with a T today, and it's Monday. Usually I do B with a T on Monday. Let's get into a Botox email, a Face the Facts email while I'm doing my makeup. It says, "Hi Bo, I love your videos and all. God bless you and your family." Well, thank you very kindly, ma'am. I want to know your thoughts on my situation. And she wants to remain anonymous. Products will be listed in the description box. So I'm not gonna tell you guys like what I'm using when I'm using it, but the products will be in the description box. And if I forget, drag me in the comments. She says, "I made mistakes in my 8-year relationship. We've been together since I was 15 and he was 18. Red flag number 1. Okay. I don't think we've really gone into depth about why certain age gaps are problematic. There's a lot of different factors where that's concerned. You know, emotional maturity is one of the main factors. And yes, we are all privy to the information that men mature a lot slower than women, but that's neither here nor there. A 15-year-old girl really has no business with an 18-year-old boy. Okay, one is supposed to be leaving high school or may have already left high school, and the other one just started high school the year before. Problematic. But that's just the small side of problematic. There are other age gaps that are problematic, and age gaps change as you get older. She says, "I'm 23 now and just gave birth to our baby boy." Wow. Was not expecting that. Sounds nice and all, but honestly, I feel like I was trapped in this predicament. Ooh, child. Well, I know that feeling. He's been mentally, emotionally, and physically abusive for as far as I can remember. I think a pattern that we see with abusers is that they're generally older than their victims. Even if it's by a year or 2 or 3, the abusive person is generally older. He's been abusive for as far as I can remember. And I did end up leaving him, but here's the catch. He's been transitioning for the span of the relationship. I'm confused. Girl, what the hell? What does this even... He froze his embryos. The doctor was able to get 8 quality embryos, which was put into storage. Okay, so the relationship is with a trans person that was female changing or transitioning into male, but took their embryos and then did what with them? Put them in storage. Okay. Fast forward to the part where we put all the red flags and toxic behavior to the side. This is the most interesting email that I have ever read. Oh my God, where's it going? "We decided that we waited long enough and to try for a baby." So the person has always been abusive, but still you decided to have a baby, which is completely normal, by the way, in the cycle of abuse. Even though yours included physical abuse, so not really like undetected abuse, because your partner was originally female, the abuse may have felt a little different than male to female abuse. Does that make sense to you guys? Like, because 2 girls, even if she was transitioning in the beginning, she was still, even though he was transitioning in the beginning, he was likely still presenting as female. So if that was the case, you might be boxing versus if a man is just hitting you. And you could obviously slap a male partner back. That's a given. But abuse seems different when it's 2 girls or 2 guys in the relationship. We did the whole shebang from purchasing the sperm and waiting, etc. And it turns out that out of the 8 embryos, only 1 passed fertilization. So I'm assuming that's the baby boy. He was very depressed about it and I tried to comfort him on it and show him I was excited and optimistic to continue to cheer him up. We got into another physical altercation, I guess from all the pressure, and I left because I knew that having a baby with someone, especially in this case, was serious, and I didn't want to hold that much responsibility of such a risky pregnancy, as well as set myself up for failure being with someone that I knew was abusive. Well, good for you, girl. I'm having deja vu. This is so weird. He ended up guilt tripping me into coming back to continue the process. A good old Hoover. And we don't know yet if her partner is a narcissist. So we're gonna hold that. But because you are saying that you were sucked back in somehow, it is definitely on brand to be guilted back into an abusive relationship, even when you know that you should be leaving and would probably be doing way better without the person. Happens to the best of us. Happened to me. It is what it is. We went through with the transfer, and of course it was successful. See, here's my thing. I think what's scary in this situation is the fact that this person could have decided to carry the baby themselves prior to, you know, fully transitioning so that they could have what they wanted out of life. But it was like they didn't want to carry the baby themselves, so they used you to carry the baby for them. And if you watched my Sex with a Narcissist video, I talked about how I was called a vessel, and that's what your situation is reminding me of, but that's not something that you stated. And I want my opinion on your situation to be unbiased, but I'm just saying that that's what it reminds me of, the fact that this person is abusing you but still wants you to carry the baby for them because perhaps they need their supply. Let's keep reading. You would think that he would be happy and careful and none of the same ish would occur. No, actually, that's not what I think. I think it would get worse because now they have gotten what they want from you and have used you for what you are good for. Because the fact of the matter is, if this is somebody that was transitioning and prefers or wants to live as a male, they wouldn't want to carry a baby, which is understandable. However, then get a surrogate. Don't get somebody that is your girlfriend and wind up hurting them in the end because you were only using them to carry your baby into the world because you don't want to pay for a surrogate. That's crazy behavior. I guess I was delusional to think that it wouldn't. Oh, this nigga was physically abusing me during my pregnancy as well as after. And I don't know if the person that transitioned is being abusive towards you because they struggle with their identity. You know, that could be a part of the abuse because perhaps they're still internally battling, you know, them being different, which is okay to be different, you know, but like maybe they're battling that, which is a part of the reason they're abusing you and taking it out on you because you're obviously not battling with your identity and you're carrying their child, and maybe they are in a position where they are frustrated with themselves and obviously taking it out on you, which is not okay ever. It is not our job as people, as humans, girlfriends, boyfriends, whoever, to fix other people. And I talked about that in my last video. Your only job is to fix yourself or to get the help you need to fix yourself. You cannot fix these people, okay? They are not fixable. They're just not. Anyway, he was abusing me during the pregnancy and after. Of course, I left and stayed with family, but I had to go back because my family was relocating and all the baby stuff had to go somewhere in the meantime, being as though I was so close to giving birth. He said everything was okay until 3 days postpartum. Baby started crying. He busted in the room and assumed that I hit my infant baby and beat me up. No. He knew you did not hit that baby, okay? He knew you did not hit the baby. That was just an excuse to hit you and start to paint the picture of you that you are unfit or you cannot be around the child because they want to take the child from you. This is very obvious. Like very obvious. He's been very jealous and belittling my parental skills, and I believe he used the baby crying as an excuse to execute and proceed with what he wanted to do. I left with my baby right after. So my question to you is, do you think that I should allow him to have a relationship with his kid since it's his only biological child? I feel bad because I should have avoided the whole situation from the jump, but I didn't. And now it's like he's wanting a relationship and to be a family with me, and I'm not having it but I keep in contact for the child. The only reason why I feel guilty is because I knew it was his last embryo and I still went through with it knowing that I wasn't really that happy going into it. I just feel like if he really cared about the baby, he wouldn't have abused me while I was pregnant. So I can't really feel that bad for not letting him have a relationship with him. It's like he just wanted me to be an emotional punching bag and he has an excuse now to always have access to me like a damn VIP pass. Pray for me, girl. I love you. Thanks for reading. I love you too. Your situation is extremely complicated. Like extremely complicated because one, oh my God. Okay, hold on. I have a lot of thoughts. Hold on. Well, I have so many thoughts. So many thoughts. One of my thoughts, which I feel is the craziest of them, is because the baby was not produced from your egg, yes, you carried it, you can regard yourself as a surrogate, give him his child, and take off. But you've already bonded with the baby, so that's probably very hard for you. And I feel crazy even saying it out of my mouth. However, for my own peace of mind, since it's not necessarily my egg, I would just grieve the loss. I'm sorry. That is just how my brain is working right now. I don't know if this is normal, but because I know what I know with my own situation and what I'm going through with my own situation, I feel like I would rather that. I would rather just not have to deal with the person at all, okay? It's not fun. It will never be fun. And it's very unfortunate. The downside of that is if this person is indeed the N-word, okay, which we're not diagnosing them, okay, so don't say I'm over here diagnosing people because I'm not. If the person is, okay, so this is a hypothetical. If the person is the N-word, it is dangerous for the child to be left in their care for a number of reasons. Now, in a logical or a technical sense, if this was not your girlfriend and you did just sign up to be a surrogate, you wouldn't know what the hell's going on behind closed doors anyway. So there's two sides of that coin. Both of them are crap, okay? Both sides of the coin are crap. Because if there's nothing wrong with your eggs, I would honestly just cut my losses. And I know that's hard. I know you guys are probably looking at me like, what the hell did she just say? But it's like her options are so slim. And is she gonna keep being subjected to the abuse? Because there is physical violence and it has been on more than one occasion. The other option that you have is to sever ties completely, which obviously is the harder option. Actually, it's not even harder. They are equally as hard because you will feel bad about not giving access to that person, but they signed up for it with ill intentions. And yes, you did say that you pretty much knew what time it was. You knew that they were abusive and you still went through with it because you felt bad, but in a sense, you were made to feel bad and you were already in an abusive situation. Like, a lot of people don't understand how hard it is to leave these situations. Some situations are harder than others. And I feel like the women that are physically battered, they have an even harder time leaving than the people that are not. Or maybe they don't. Maybe it's equal. Maybe it's an equally hard time to leave abusive relationships. It just really depends on the case. It's a case by case thing and it's so complicated, and I don't ever want to be sat up here giving the wrong damn advice. I don't. I feel like if you are in therapy and if you are doing research on abuse and how it negatively impacts children, I think you would probably take the option number two, which was cut off the ex and move on with your life. Oh well, that it's his last embryo, because if he really gave a crap about the child, he would be a decent human being to the child's mother or who carried the mother. But I don't think he even regards you as the child's mother because they were his eggs or his embryos that produced the child with the sperm. So he has an entitlement to the child, but I'm sure you have already witnessed him not being fit or able to even take care of the child while you were still with him. And I'm sorry, but if you put your hands on me because of something insignificant, or like you put your hands on me because you felt like you wanted to, what is really stopping you from putting your hands on an innocent baby or abusing a child in the future? these kids, first of all, your children will test you. Okay, they will test you every chance they get. That's why they're here. Okay, it's not sunshine and rainbows. They will test you, and your patience will be tested. So I already know that if you are physically abusive towards your partner, you will be physically abusive towards the children when they get to testing you. So a child has really no business being in the care of an abusive partner, whether the mom is there or not, or the dad is there or not. Like, it doesn't matter. If the partner is abusive to the mom, he will be abusive to the children. And that's on period. Okay? Even if it's not physical abuse. Because somebody that is just naturally coercive, somebody that is abusive by nature, okay, whether it's narcissism or other, that's just who they are, and we just have to believe them. We cannot question them. Like, we cannot. Because a lot of these people have these deep seated and rooted issues that only they know about, because they don't let anybody get close enough to even find out what those issues are. But if you live with them for long enough, you will know. You'll know everything about them. You'll know how they move. You'll know when they're lying before they even open their mouth. You will know everything. And I'm sure that was your situation. If you were with this person from the time you were 15, you were essentially preyed upon by an adult. 18, 19, doesn't matter. And some of the times it's learned behavior and other times it's not. You know, it's just people are evil. You know, people have ulterior motives. And unfortunately, sometimes you don't find out until it's too late. In your situation, you're stating that, you know, you obviously had and saw all the telltale signs, but still, for whatever reason, decided to go through with the pregnancy, and you have your reasons for that, you know, but we're not going to dwell on that and make you feel bad about it, because yeah, sure, you did it. You know, you still went through with it even though they were abusive, but does that make it right? Does that make it okay? Absolutely not. And if you were already in a situation where there was lots of mind games, you're not even thinking clearly. So you were already conditioned from the time you got with this person to feel bad for them. You were already conditioned from the time you got with this person to make them your priority, which you will continue to do until you decide enough is enough. And so I haven't talked too much about, you know, how custody and things of that nature have played out or are going, because it's still an ongoing issue. However, I was always open to co-parenting. Before coming out of the relationship, even when I first left the relationship, I was always open to co-parenting and tried to co-parent, and it was equally as draining as being in the relationship. And I keep telling my mom, I'm like, Mom, I never ever thought or ever anticipated that my relationship with my ex would ever have gone this way. Like, I don't freaking, it's not even fathomable, okay? It's not even fathomable. I never anticipated that I would have a restraining order. I never thought any of these things could be possible. Even 2 years ago, even earlier this year, I actually almost did not secure my lawyer because my lawyer had told me that I needed a restraining order and I didn't want to do it. But I got hit over the head with the reality that I needed the restraining order, because these people do not stop. They don't stop. And it's unfortunate because there were so many times that I, you know, was like, okay, like, let's just co-parent, let's just do this, let's just do that. And it was never received well, obviously. Me saying, I just want to co-parent, let's just co-parent, it was never received. And you're gonna try until you're blue in the face. But going no contact is essential in these abusive situations, and you are put in these weird and awkward positions where you don't want to make certain moves, because this is why it's so complicated when there's kids involved, because it's like, what am I supposed to do? You know, what am I supposed to do? And nobody signs up for this. Nobody signs up for this. Even if you say that they were busting you over the head every single day and you still went through with the baby and, you know, because what do you do now? Even if that is the case, it's still emotionally, it's still so much more complicated than that. Especially if when you first initially left, you know, before you got pregnant, before they convinced you to come back and actually have the baby, your head was not clear. So you are gonna make moves that don't make sense. You're definitely gonna make moves that don't make sense. On my membership, I read my journal entries from over the last 2 years and sometimes even from before 2 years ago. When I read the entries, sometimes I sound really clear-headed and other times I sound absolutely delusional, because when you're in this situation, it's so hard to navigate it. And so I think 2 of the last entries I did, the ones where I talk about I need to go, I'm leaving, I sound very clear-headed, like I know exactly what I want to do. And then what's happened in between those entries is I get gaslit and I get love bombed and I'm confused again, because in my heart I want it to work. In my mind, I know it's not gonna work. So I'm put in this position where I'm like, okay, I gotta go. And now I have to block out what the abuser's saying. I cannot listen to what the abuser's saying because I'm going to be stuck here even longer. I'm scared to go. I'm scared to go. I'm scared to leave. I don't know what to do. And then you just end up in this crazy rabbit hole, and it sucks. And so because I've been through it, I don't fault you and I don't blame you for making a decision that obviously was not in your best interest. You know, you cared about your partner. You knew that it was their last embryo. And, you know, even in knowing that and them knowing that, because they only care about themselves, they abused you throughout the pregnancy, after the pregnancy, before the pregnancy. They are just abusive, and they are probably in denial about how abusive they are. They don't see anything wrong with their behavior. Even if the person were to go to therapy at this point, they probably would still be very problematic where you're concerned, because a lot of these people end up in therapy and don't use what they learn in therapy to heal, which is what therapy is for, but they use it to gain knowledge on how to continue to be problematic in their relationships. The custody side of things, which I'm not really ready, you know, to talk too much about it. Soon, I'm getting there, you know, but it's so difficult. It's so difficult to parent with somebody that has no boundaries. The kids are not better off. However, that's really what you have to have in mind. What is in best interest of the child? What is best interest of the children? If you have multiples, obviously you don't, but like, that's what you have to consider. Not what's in my best interest, not what's in my ex's best interest, what's in the best interest of the child, your son. That's what you need to be considering. That's the only thing that matters. And realistically, I just saw a post literally, yesterday, of a similar situation like yours, where the girlfriend came back and, was threatening the girl and ended up killing her. Despite the fact that she had a restraining order, despite the fact that she's reported the issues, whatever. Some people are just sick and should not have any access to you or children, period. Like, some people are actually just sick, and you could be saving that child's life, you know, by going no contact. But it is hard to do that, because when you have kids, abuse or no abuse, you have children with somebody, I promise you, it never even occurs to you, which it probably should, but it never even occurs to you that you are going to be in a position to where you're going to have to make the decision of, what can I do here legally to make the situation amicable and also the least problematic possible, and essentially healthy. What can I do to make this healthy for my child, for me? What are my options? Because abuse is so complicated, and depending on what state you're in too, province, I don't know if you're in Canada, depending on where you're at, everywhere is different. So you may have leverage where the abuse is concerned. In most abuse cases, especially in like America, I think it's easier to navigate that. But the court system is a little bit messed up where abuse is concerned, and they have been making a few changes over the years. But at the end of the day, the court is going to look at what is in the best interest of the children. They're not going to look at what is in the best interest of mama, but what's in the best interest of the children. And I was watching something today about that, and like, the court is not really, a lot of like judges and stuff, they're not really versed on abuse or narcissism and how it negatively impacts people, children, adults alike. And so you pretty much have to figure out a way, if you get put in the position to fight for custody, you have to figure out, you know, how to navigate that without looking like an ass clown, okay? But your situation is literally so complicated. Your son deserves a healthy parent, not a toxic one. They deserve a healthy parent. What can your son do with being raised by a toxic male? Like, what is that going to do for your son other than become a toxic male? Because what's going to happen to you is your child's father is going to most likely go into a new relationship and continue to be abusive towards that person. Because I've never heard of a situation where an abuser abuses only one person and doesn't go on to abuse again. If you watch any forensic files, like, there's always like a history of abuse for whatever reason. There's always a history of abuse before somebody ends up murdered. And a lot of the times what happens is the women before don't report. So there's no history, or the person has moved from state to state, and so they don't have warrants or they don't have criminal cases in the state that they currently reside in, but they have them in other states, and so it never pops up when they get, I don't know, stopped for traffic violation or something like that. And so they continue to abuse women all over the damn place. And before you know it, they're just another victim. And it's really up to the women that experience it, know what's wrong, got away, to report it. It's really up to us to report it and say, hey, this happened, and, you know, I don't want it to happen to anybody else. So do your due diligence and report it. But in your case, you need to be reporting it for that, and also because there's going to be a custody issue if the person that you're dealing with is spiteful and vindictive and problematic, and will try to bring you to court to argue the fact that that's not even your baby. They may try to say that you were just a surrogate and is running off with their baby, which is obviously crazy because you're probably most likely on the birth certificate as the mom. It is actually so complicated, and I am so sorry that you are going through this. I would not, and I already told you guys this, I would not wish my situation or any situation similar to my situation on anybody, not even my worst enemy, which I don't even have, okay? I would not. Like, it's not fun. It's not cute. It's extremely crappy because it gets to that point where you worry about, okay, well, if this person has custody and I know that they want to hurt me in any way that they can, now that I've cut them off, right? Like, will they hurt my kids just to hurt me? That's what your brain thinks because of the trauma. That's where your head goes. So in your situation where you've been physically abused, threatened, you've been harmed emotionally, mentally, and physically, your brain is always going to go there. But you are put in the complicated position of, I want my kids to have a relationship with their other parent. And then your situation is even more complicated because not only do you want your kid to have a relationship with their other parent, which was always my wish, you know that the person can't have any more children. But what if that's God? What if that's God? God knows the end from the beginning, period. Okay, so if God knew that this person was going to be wicked to you and the person thought they were going to be able to manipulate you, but God is on your side and said, "Not on my watch." Okay, if that was the case and God has now freed you from Egypt, so to speak, why would you go back to Egypt? I think you need to get your restraining order and get the frig out of wherever you're at ASAP. Have no communication with that person. And if they want any access to their kid, they have to go about it the legal way. And that will protect you and it will protect your son. Because the fact of the matter is, if you decide that you're gonna leave with your child, which you definitely should, since this person is dangerous. If you decide to do that and they decide, and you get the but it's very important for you to get the restraining order. If you decide to do that, you get the restraining order, and on the restraining order, it says that in order for them to have access to your child, they have to go through family court. Then that's what you have to do. And family court will sort it out. And in a situation like this, I'm telling you right now, you're not gonna be able to do mediation. You're gonna have to go to family court and do custody, because in mediation, they don't really deal with abuse well. So I feel like that's the best, plan of action for you, because how do you protect yourself and your kid if every time you need to communicate with your ex about, drop off, pick up, the person is berating you or being problematic because they have too much access to you still, which is essentially what they want, right? You have to pretty much regain control of the situation and not be intimidated by your ex, and, just let the court figure it out. But that's really all you can do in your situation, because it's too much to deal with emotionally. Like, it's just too much. Especially if you never are getting anywhere and the person just always trying to argue. It's too much. So my advice to you is to, one, get your restraining order in place. If you can relocate. Don't let him know where you're at. Relocate. And once it's time for court, you figure it out. Because the fact of the matter is, you've gone through enough emotional trauma. You had enough. And there has to be an end somewhere. But what I've learned is, if you don't put certain boundaries up, you're screwed. You're screwed. See, in my personal situation, I didn't want to get a restraining order. I'm like, no, absolutely not. But then stuff was happening and I was like, okay, I don't have a choice. Like, I've been pushed into a corner. And so I had to get one. And I'm glad I did. It was the best decision I ever made. But it was so hard for me to come to that conclusion or decision. It was so hard, but important. And like I said, I'm glad I did it, because some people are lawless, okay? Some people are lawless. They have no regard for authority. They have no regard for other humans. They don't. So you have to do what you know is good for your child and good for you. Your situation, your only option is to let court handle it. Because if you tried to handle it, you're gonna be in a problem. And if your ex tries to handle it, obviously you're gonna be in a problem as well. You guys have to go to court. That was by far the craziest email I've ever gotten, next to the girl that had to throw out her whole entire mattress because her friend was rubbing on her coochie in her bed while she thought her friend was sleeping. A mess. Anyway, that email was crazy. And you know what? I wish you healing. You need to get into therapy ASAP, okay? ASAP. And to me, I feel like therapy helped give me the confidence that I needed to leave. I felt like it gave me so many tools to get the hell up out of the damn wilderness. Like, it was, oh God. Therapy is so important, no matter what you're going through, whether it's good or bad, or grief, or like, therapy is just it. Like, and everybody needs therapy. And what in the world? Though I believe everybody needs therapy, sometimes it takes something specific to get you to that point of, okay, it's time, okay? Like, obviously for me, it was my relationship. It was needing to get out of my relationship that brought me to therapy. So that's a good thing that came out. And now I am obsessed with therapy. I love therapy, and I wish I had gone to therapy sooner, because there's still a lot to unpack that doesn't have anything to do with my ex, you know? There's so much I have gone through in my life that I believe obviously helped shape and mold who I am, but a lot of it was traumatic. And it's important to go to therapy and heal those parts of you, you know? So it really doesn't matter if you have childhood trauma or no childhood trauma. Like, who doesn't have any childhood trauma? Even if it's something that seems insignificant, but it may have impacted the way you view the world, you should go and figure that out in therapy. There is literally nothing to lose by going to therapy and everything to gain. So like, that's just a word to the wise girl, because there have been people that I have suggested therapy to, okay, like family members that I've suggested therapy to, and they flat out are like, absolutely not, or like feel as though they know everything they need to know already. And I said, that's exactly why you need therapy. That's exactly why you need to go. Okay, therapy is so life-changing, like life-changing. I am a therapy advocate, okay? If you haven't at least tried it, try it. Giving apple pie, girl, just try it, okay? Like, try it. Oh my gosh. Okay, potty people. Let me zoom out a bit. This story does have a trigger warning for SA, so if you are easily triggered, that's your warning. So this next email is called Married and Scared. Whew. Hello, just like everyone else, I love your channel and have been watching you for years. Thank you very much, darling. It's so refreshing to have someone like you as an influence, and I pray for continued healing and blessings in your life. Thank you very much. I appreciate that a lot. This is a little bit long, but the backstory is important because I know there's something that I have to deal with. I just don't know how. We love a good backstory, girl. Okay? She said, I don't have the best view on men. I grew up hearing to always have a plan B, separate bank account. Oh, she meant like plan B, not like Plan B, the pill, because that's where my head went, girl. Okay. My mother asking me to try to get my dad's passcodes. Ooh, messy boots. Spy on him, and basically just hearing a lot of negative things about men. Okay. Off the bat, I got a problem with your mama. Because why do people think it's okay to involve their children in adult problems? Why are you telling your kid to get the passcode to daddy phone? That's crazy. Anyway, we weren't allowed to date until we were 16. And look is complete, girl. I've had 3 serious relationships. Christmas nails. One of my Christmas sets. I never do red, but when I did these, I was like, I can get with that. Oh my God. Anyway, I've had 3 serious relationships. The first one being a high school boyfriend who I dated on and off from 2012 until about 2016. He lied and cheated and did all the things that young boys typically do. But I was also celibate and saving myself and tried to make up for it by doing other things. But I always felt really horribly about doing that. And in hindsight, resented him because he wouldn't accept that I didn't want to do anything. The second serious relationship was in 2017 with a coworker. Oh, girl, how long you say you've been watching my channel for, girl? Because I know I have said coworkers are off limits. To whom I lost my virginity to sexual assault at 21. Then you did not lose your virginity. Losing your virginity, you give it away. Like, you give it to somebody. If somebody takes it from you, it's not losing your virginity. So if you haven't had sex since this incident, then you are not not a virgin. You are a virgin. He became very mentally, emotionally, and sexually abusive. I didn't see a lot of red flags until after he did what he did, although he did have anger issues prior to that, but it rarely showed. That relationship only lasted 6 to 7 months because it was still a lot to deal with afterwards. After I got out of that relationship, I was hurting and confused and ended up sleeping with 4 more people. And one of them included the boyfriend I dated for years during and after high school. The first thing he said to me when I told him about what happened is that I should have let him hit it first. Girl. Oh God. At this point, don't tell men anything, okay? Word to the wise. Don't tell these men anything. Just don't. I don't know why I didn't walk away after that, but again, I was young and a lot was going on with me mentally, which is completely normal and understandable. So don't even feel bad or guilty about it. Anyway, I ended up getting pregnant by that high school boyfriend and had my daughter in 2018. And while I was pregnant, that person also assaulted me sexually. Oh my God. I was roughly 4 months pregnant and starting to feel my daughter kick, so he wanted to feel it too. At that time, I was exhausted 24/7, so I fell asleep. And he was behind me, and let's just say I woke up with my pants at my ankles. Oh my God, and he had finished. He said he thought I was awake because I was moving around while he was doing what he was doing. Sir, no you didn't. Like, wait. If somebody is awake, you will know. If somebody is sleeping, you will know. One way to judge if somebody is awake or sleeping is if their eyes are open or closed. Just a thought. Men out there that are listening. Also, if the person doesn't, I don't know, remove their pants themselves, that's another way to identify if somebody is sleeping or awake. Also, if they don't throw it back, maybe, if they don't roll over and allow you to do what you want to do. I can't. Needless to say, I didn't continue that relationship. He was upset and didn't come around to see his daughter for months, which led her to be solely in my care. We don't have anything legal documented, but that is the reason why. Fast forward to 2020, and I met my now husband. He is the complete opposite of everything I've ever thought about men. He is thoughtful, considerate, loving, kind, gentle, constantly reassuring me even when it can get frustrating because it can be often that I need reassurance. He is honestly amazing, but for some reason, I am constantly in fear of him cheating on me. He has never shown any signs that he is. He's never come home late. He's never done anything to make me think that he would cheat. So it's frustrating for me to have these feelings when I know I can trust him, but I can't let this feeling go. You need therapy. It's very plain and simple. It's cut and dry. You need therapy. You need to go to therapy. You need to undo your thought processes. You need to get rid of those feelings by talking to a therapist and getting those emotions out and getting to the root of them, why you feel that way. Obviously, there's lots of trauma there, but you will uncover it in therapy and figure out tools and ways to navigate that. Because at the end of the day, being a sexual assault victim, I already know that the body keeps the score. If you haven't read that book, my therapist has suggested that book to me once I opened up to her about my sexual trauma. But like, it's something that you're going to have to deal with for the rest of your life. It's going to affect you in many different ways. And you have a daughter, so it's going to affect you the way that you parent. It's going to affect a lot of things. And it's really important to get into therapy as soon as possible so that you can live a close to normal life. If I want to go through his phone, I can. His iPad, anything. And so I guess my question to you is, what should I do? Because I do bring to his attention how I feel, and he gets upset because he's not doing anything and he's never shown me any reason to not trust him. But even in how he's feeling, he will sit me down and reassure me that nothing is going on, and we'll have a conversation about it. I'm not in therapy because it's expensive here in California, but I've been journaling and praying and asking for help. I don't want to go through the rest of my pregnancy with our first child together or the rest of our marriage feeling like this. Baby, I get that therapy is expensive, but try to find the resources you need. Because you are a sexual assault victim, there may be free resources for you out there. You just have to get on Google and figure out what's available for you in California. I don't know you know, what's available in which state. I only know what's available where I'm from. So it's hard for me to, you know, tell you, hey, you can go to this website or that website. So if there's anybody that's in California that knows free resources for therapy, please offer them in the comment section below. But that's literally my number one piece of advice for you, because you cannot go through life like that. Like, faith without works is dead. So you can't sit there and say you're journaling and praying and then not in therapy. Because I was journaling and I was praying, but I wasn't in therapy. And the journaling and the praying, though they help, they didn't get me out of my problem. When I started therapy, that's when I was able to leave. So realistically, that's really my only suggestion for you. And to me, that will be the most effective thing that you could do right now. Everything else is bull. You need therapy. You need to get to the root of your issues. You need to continue praying and continue journaling, of course. But you don't want to become a burden to your spouse, because yes, your spouse is supposed to love you through whatever, but at the same time, you may cause some sort of resentment because you're constantly putting other people's BS onto your husband, and you said he's a good man. You really shouldn't have any fears where that's concerned. But this is why it's so important to go into new relationships healed. For me personally, right now, dating is not realistic because I am still healing. So I just can't see myself going into a relationship now, especially not a serious one, okay? I'm not opposed to like going out, having a good time, but like something serious right now would just be crazy for me, because to me it would cloud my head when I'm still processing things and still learning things and still going through things every day. You know what I mean? So therapy is really important, and I completely understand how expensive it can be, but one of our biggest mistakes is thinking that there's not resources out there for people that don't necessarily have the money to pay for therapy. There's so many options out there, and you may even be able to get therapy, virtual therapy, for free. You may be able to get it under your health insurance plan if you have one. Like there's so many options out there, and it's just for you to explore. If you really, really, really want it, you will find it. I mentioned Megan Thee Stallion's website the other day. I don't know if the website is up yet, but what is it? Bad Bitches Have Bad Days Too? Something like that. You can Google Megan Thee Stallion's therapy help website and get the resources you need, because what I find is that a lot of us have suffered in silence. A lot of us have had no idea how to navigate whatever situations we're in, whether it's past trauma, current trauma, you know, and it makes it hard to get out of our own head. And sometimes being in your own head is the biggest problem that you have. For me, after leaving my abusive situation, now I have to deal with being in my head about my abuse. I have to deal with everything that I've been left with now, the post-abuse, you know? And it's frustrating because it's like, well, if the situation would have been normal, I wouldn't have to be going through all these things, and still gotta turn up to be a mom every single day, and there's no breaks in that, right? So for not just you, but for the health of your children, it's important that you get into therapy so that you can be the best parent that you can be to them and the best wife you can be for your husband. I think that it's super important to take the price tag off of therapy, because the ramification of not going to therapy in the long haul is far more expensive than paying for therapy now. Some places even have payment options. You know, like there's just so many resources out there for us, and we don't take advantage of them because they're not in our face. They say if you want to, I don't know if you're black or not, but they say if you want to hide anything from a black person, put it in a book, which is ignorant. But they say that because we've been conditioned to not read. We were actually not allowed to read when it was slavery time. So we weren't taught to read for a long time. And if you did get caught reading, you might end up dead. So they say if you want to hide something from a black person, put it in a book. If you want to hide healing from a person with trauma, don't give them a computer because they can't Google how to get the help that they need. There is help out there, and it's for you to want it that bad that you go. Even if you go to your church, if you have a church, I don't know what you believe in. If you don't, well, yeah, so you've been praying, girl. Even if you go to your church and see if the church has resources, because the church might have therapists, programs available there for you, and that's comforting because you are a praying woman. So you would be more comfortable maybe with a Christian therapist that understands prayer, that understands a relationship with God. But you need all the moving parts to get where you want to go. You cannot just rely on journaling and prayer. Girl, I tried it, okay? I tried it. It got me to a certain point, but it didn't get me all the way there. Therapy is literally the only thing that really tipped the scales and, changed my life. And I believe, because I'm always going to give God his credit, period. But I believe that it was through prayer that I ended up with that answer. And maybe this is God answering your prayers right now. Maybe God is telling you, girl, get on Google. Okay, we didn't put Google there for no reason. Get on Google and see what resources are available in your city, in the next state over, wherever. Like, see what free resources are available for you to get in therapy. But there's not really any way around dealing with trauma outside of going to therapy. That's all I have to say about that. I obviously, I feel for you 100% because I've been through that. I've been through abuse. I've been through sexual abuse. I have been through toxic relationship. I have been through childhood trauma. I have been through a plethora of things. I have been through so freaking much. I should probably be dead because, girl, I'm tired, okay? And accepting that I've been through so much and I've not let it kill me, and you're not gonna let it kill you either, period. Like, you can't afford to let it kill you because now you have not one but two babies and they need the best version of you, and you cannot give it to them without taking those steps. I thoroughly believe that once you start to research and find the resources, you're going to find them. You just needed me to tell you, or somebody else to say it to you, like, girl, if you think that there's not free stuff out there, there's so much free stuff out there, okay? You might even just, there's so many women's programs, and those are usually free. Like, you just have to sign up and then go to, the Zoom link, and there's a support system there for you. There's even the bougie membership, okay? Shameless plug. There's even the bougie membership where we meet and have somewhere to talk, we have somewhere to share our experiences, what we're going through. And it's not always like that, but sometimes it is. And so certain meetings are set up for that. So you can come or you don't come if you don't want to, but it's a lot. But yeah, I will definitely add you to my prayer list and keep you in mind. Because I completely 100%, I get it. I feel you. And, I believe that you're going to come out on the other side of this stronger because your babies need you, girl. If it weren't for my kids needing me and if it weren't for them needing me, I probably wouldn't take therapy so seriously. But that's the thing. Even if you don't have kids, you should take therapy seriously because you don't want to become a mom one day. If that's your dream in life, desire, whatever, you don't want to become a mom one day and realize that you're not in the best shape to raise your kids, right? You don't want that. So it's important to nip it in the bud now. And since your kids are so young, it's really a great time to start healing yourself so that your kids have a healed and whole mom and a healed and whole dad. And they will also be whole and healed, and they won't attract no dusties, okay? They won't attract other people that are not whole and healed. And if they do attract those people, they'll be able to say, go over there and heal yourself. And when you're done healing yourself, don't come back over here. Go find somebody else, okay? Because it ain't gonna be me. right? Like we have to be the example that we want to set. That's one of the major reasons why I'm single right now, because I was embarrassed at what my kids were witnessing, and I was embarrassed that I couldn't look at my situation and want my kids to be like me or like my ex. Like, I didn't want that for them. And when that clicked, it really just, it changed things. But before that, I'm sat there with my dick in my hands, like a mess. Anyway, you guys, I love you all so much, and I will definitely see you in the next one.